Have you ever wondered what it's like to live like a billionaire? I mean, we've all seen the yachts, the helicopters, the closets bigger than my entire apartment. But what if I told you that you could live like a billionaire on a $20 budget? You heard me right. Not 20,000, just 20. Welcome back to Empower and Thrive. Today, I'm embarking on the ultimate challenge in delusional frugality. I'm going to attempt to live like a billionaire for a day, but with a wallet that sounds like it's laughing at me every time I open it. The goal here isn't just to poke fun at how the ultra-wealthy live, it's also to spotlight the bizarre financial habits we sometimes pick up while chasing wealth and how to enjoy a richer life without actually needing to be rich. Let's go! I started my morning the way I assume any billionaire would, by waking up naturally, bathed in morning light, surrounded by 1,500 thread-count Egyptian cotton sheets and motivational quotes framed in gold. In reality, I rolled out of bed after snoozing the alarm 3 times and immediately stubbed my toe on a laundry basket. Same vibe, but mindset is everything, right? I told myself I was just experiencing the relatable billionaire morning segment. You know, like when Oprah says she still loves toast. First stop, breakfast. Now, a billionaire might start their day with a $40 green juice made with Himalayan kale and tears of a rare Amazonian mango. But I had a backup plan, make my own billionaire smoothie at home. Into the blender went a frozen banana, some oat milk, and the last scoop of peanut butter from a jar I've been saving since last Tuesday. The key is presentation, so I poured it into a fancy glass, added a paper straw, and voila, I was basically brunching in Malibu. Total cost so far, $0. We're off to a strong start. Next, I needed transportation. I briefly considered hiring a chauffeur, but then remembered that Uber Eats once banned me for tipping with loose change, so I figured I wasn't exactly on a chauffeur budget. Instead, I walked. That's right, billionaire on foot. I put in my earbuds and blasted a podcast on investing while strutting like I owned the city. Confidence is free. And delusion? Surprisingly affordable. I made my way to a local hotel lobby. Not to stay, of course. I'm not out here blowing the budget in hour one. But billionaires are always having meetings, and I wanted to get in that vibe. So I walked in like I belonged, found a plush armchair, and whipped out my laptop. Was I networking with other venture capitalists? No. I was checking my bank balance to make sure I still had $19.32 left. I did end up ordering a coffee for $5.80. Painful, yes, but part of the experience. I sipped it slowly while pretending to analyze the stock market. In reality, I was Googling, do rich people actually drink this much espresso? Followed by, how many free refills before they kick you out? With my budget slightly wounded but my ego still intact, I decided to head to my wellness portion of the day. Because if there's one thing billionaires love, it's pretending self-care is a personality trait. And nothing says luxury quite like a $300 facial that promises to rejuvenate your soul via crystals. I, of course, opted for the DIY version, a hot towel over my face and a YouTube meditation video led by someone who sounded suspiciously like they were recording from their bathroom. It was actually kind of peaceful. I lit a candle. I got on clearance 6 months ago and lay there breathing deeply, telling myself, this is wealth. Because honestly, if you can trick your nervous system into relaxing for free, that's better than anything a gold-plated spa can offer. By lunchtime, I had about $13 left. I figured I'd dine out like a tech mogul would, somewhere trendy, sustainable, and an Instagram-worthy aesthetic. So naturally, I headed to the fanciest food court I could find. I browsed around with the discerning palate of someone who had choices, and then bought a sushi roll from the supermarket next door for $6.49. A steal, if you ask me. I sat on a nearby bench in the sun, eating slowly, pretending I was in Tokyo on business. There may have been pigeons involved, but I chose to interpret them as a symbol of prosperity. After my luxurious lunch, I decided it was time to immerse myself in culture. Rich people always seem to be casually attending operas or browsing modern art galleries. Luckily for me, many museums have free admission, or at least a donation-based entry. I found a local gallery that was completely free, walked in with confidence, and immediately started nodding seriously at everything. Did I understand what I was looking at? No. But I furrowed my brow and whispered, interesting commentary on late-stage capitalism, so I think I nailed it. It was surprisingly enjoyable. I stayed for over an hour, just soaking it all in. Art, like wealth, is often about perception. After the museum, it was officially dinner time, and I had just about $6 left to my name, clearly the perfect budget for a lavish feast. I wandered into a convenience store like it was my own personal four-star restaurant. I scanned the aisles with the intensity of someone about to make a deeply emotional investment. After browsing every aisle like a confused gourmet, I landed on a packet of instant noodles and a sparkling water. It was the kind of gourmet haul that screams, treat yourself on a budget. As I left, I raised my sparkling water like it was champagne, whispering to wealth in all its forms. After dinner, I decided to wrap the day with one final act of luxury, personal development. Because no billionaire story is complete without a quote about waking up at 4 in the morning to read 5 books and cold plunge their regrets away. I opted for something less extreme, a library visit. Free, quiet, air-conditioned. I found a book on investing and spent some time flipping through it, reminding myself that actual wealth is built through knowledge, not noise. As the sun started to set, I took a walk through a park near my home, reflecting on the day. Sure, I didn't fly in a private jet or buy a designer watch, but I felt richer. I'd spent time doing things I value, things that made me feel calm, curious, inspired. And I'd done it all without burning a hole in my wallet. Final tally? Coffee, sushi, and convenience store instant ramen just under $20. Let's pause here for a second and talk about what we're really doing. Yes, I'm being ridiculous, but here's the truth hiding underneath all this silliness. The billionaire lifestyle isn't really about the things. It's about freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, the ability to say no to things that drain you and yes to the things that bring value. Most of the wealthy people I've learned from aren't actually spending wildly every day. In fact, some of them are surprisingly frugal. They just know where to spend intentionally. The funny thing is, even with this restricted budget, I didn't miss the luxury. What I did enjoy was the intention behind every choice. When you don't have unlimited resources, you get creative. You're forced to ask, what actually matters? And weirdly, that's a question even billionaires wrestle with. So, what's the takeaway here? You don't need to be rich to feel rich. You don't need to wait for your bank account to hit 6 or 7 figures before you start living a life you enjoy. You can treat yourself with care, seek out experiences, and embrace a bit of joy, even on a modest budget. That doesn't mean money isn't important. It absolutely is. But it's also not the only currency. Time, attention, curiosity, creativity, these are forms of wealth too. And in some ways, they're harder to come by than money. So if you're trying to build your financial future and it feels slow, remember this: you can still enjoy the journey. You can still laugh, experiment, find moments of luxury and silliness and joy even while living below your means. In fact, those are often the most memorable parts of the journey. Thanks for joining me on this ridiculous yet oddly grounding adventure. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments what your version of Budget Billionaire would look like. And if you try it, definitely report back. I want all the delusional luxury hacks. Until next time, keep thriving.